You're my hero. You like that?
I do.
All right.
Mine's dead.
Yeah, I don't usually drink coffee usually, but tonight I was feeling
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Me too, is with,
What's your beer koozie say?
with phones tonight.
Oh, it's, I think it was in that swag bag from
Oh,
the,
yeah.
yeah.
I remember that.
Call to order the meeting of the Southeast Polk Board of Education, May 19th, 2022 at 5:30 PM. Karen, can I get roll call, please?
Chad,
Here.
Lori,
Yes, here.
Bridget,
Here.
Rick,
Here.
Whitney,
Here.
Brett,
Here.
Tom,
Here.
All right, sounds like we have a quorum. Letter B, agenda adoption. Dr. Hlupnik, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No, there are none.
Can I get a motion?
Move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All right, Karen?
Lori,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes. All right, district vision and mission. Would anyone like to read that this evening?
I would love to, Chad. Our Southeast Polk Community Schools, learn, lead, and live. Success for college, career, and civic life. Engage all students in learning a challenging curriculum delivered through quality instructions.
Thank you, Rick. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, next is public comments. Did we receive any cards? Okay. I know Director Rick or Powell, did you?
Yeah, I would like to say a few things. Number one, and I had this plan, Lori can vouch for this. A few days ago, I'm not doing it because Dan Schultz is sitting back there, but I want to say thank you to all of our district bus drivers. I drove the bus a few years when I was in college, and just the stress, not only of transporting our kids to and from school, but trying to navigate the roads and memorize the route and go to all the stops and getting through even though we kind of had a mild winter, there were still a lot of icy days. And just thank you to all of our bus drivers and aides. I also want to thank Gary Haynes's crew from grounds maintenance, because they help when we do have snow or ice. They help clear all of our lots. They do all these things that sometimes go unnoticed. And I know we're in late May, so maybe I should have said this a few months ago, but just thank you to all the grounds maintenance people that do so much and don't get thanked enough, in my opinion. And, I have a lot to do with some of the playground projects. They help out in those areas as well. And they do all these nice maintenance around all of our properties and schools. So just a thank you to those two groups, the bus drivers and Dan and all your crew, and to Gary Haynes and his crew. I just wanted to say that publicly.
Very well put. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
And I have something I'd like to say here, okay?
Sure. Jump in.
All right. Thank you to all of our staff that are resigning and retiring for your many years of dedication to our students. You all will be missed and are truly appreciated. And welcome to all the new staff members that are coming on also. That's it.
All right. Anyone else have questions or comments? All right. Karen.
Bridget,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
All right, on to old new business. Confirmation of next meeting, which is June 16th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, Karen.
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
On to our public hearing. It is 5:34 PM. I will now open the public hearing to receive comments on our fiscal year FY 2022 budget amendment. Board Secretary, have you received any written comments?
I have not.
Okay. Is there anyone present wishing to provide comment? All right. Seeing no comments, the public hearing is now closed at 5:35 PM. On to FY 2022 budget amendment. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Bacom?
Thank you, Mr. Crab. The budget amendment for fiscal year 2022 is up on screen and also in your board packets, just over $3 million. Just a few things about a budget amendment in general. We were just talking about expenditures, nothing from the revenue side. So any kind of funding that comes in and we spend it, those are monies in which we didn't expect in the beginning of the year. That's part of our budget and the spending, and that's part of what we need to do an amendment for. In this particular case, the classroom technology in our Chromebooks for the classroom for students and staff, I was notified by the Department of Education that should be in our instruction function rather than our normal technology function, which is housed in the support services. So that's a big shift of those costs into the instruction function. Another piece of that too, as mentioned in the reasons, are the employee retention payments. The first one that came through were the governor's retention payments that we didn't expect at the beginning of the year, and that amounted to about a $500,000 piece. But again, I don't generally reduce expenditures within these functions because there's no reason to. It's just a matter if we plan to spend over those functions. And it's also it has been an audit issue times in the past because these are all projections, right, for budgets. So at year end, if we go over those particular functions, it is a compliance issue with the state when it comes to reporting to the budget function area as far as our actual spending. No increases to taxes.
Good.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Karen?
Whitney,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
All right, on to learning recovery support staff. Motion, please.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Has anything changed on this from our discussion from
No, it
the
is.
last meeting? Okay. Any questions?
Just glad we're doing it.
And we're using our ESSER funds to address the learning gaps due to the pandemic. Just saying that publicly.
So just to clarify, this isn't 90 days in a row or consecutively. It's 90 days throughout 90. Hi, Joel. 90 days throughout that term, correct?
Yes, it's 90 days total. It could be 90 days in a row. It could be half days for 180 days. So it's, again, with the flexibility. So it would just end up being 90 days total between next year, the start of next year, and May of 2024.
So whatever the students need, they will get.
Yep.
Good. And it's from the CARES fund?
Yes.
Have we put out feelers for these positions already?
Excuse me?
Have we put out some feelers like for the positions already?
Feelers, but nothing official, obviously, until it's been voted on at the board. But I know there's been conversations with people that we think would be good candidates. So yes,
Some good interest then, hopefully.
yes. Mhm.
I was hopeful because today kind of shocked me with all the resignations that kind of came through. So I'm thinking, wow. So it's gonna be a little harder to find now.
We've, I think getting just the right person with the flexibility there, I think they had some people in mind, and so far the conversations have been positive.
Is this a situation where if for some reason, I know we have one of the qualifications is being a certified teacher, is this a situation where like if we don't have a certified teacher that wants to take on that role, but we have somebody that has sufficient experience, would that be a potential substitute for that?
Yes, we will consider those who might have the substitute authorization. We do have a few people with that designation who are currently working on that program that's available for associates to get their degree in, is it a year or a year and a half? The two.
Yeah.
So we currently are having conversations and we would consider that because it's still within the guidelines.
Okay.
Yes. We'll start with the certified and then see what the best match for students is.
Yeah, so I agree with what Tom said there, and we look at the list that come in. I know this isn't probably unusual for any district, and there's any number of reasons people decide to
Mhm.
move on, whether it's to go somewhere else or it's to do a completely different career. But yeah, just want to make sure we can fill these positions.
And as we discussed last time, for some people, the flexibility and not full-time is more attractive than the full-time position. So kind of, and for others, it has to be full-time. So kind of working with staff to see what's the best match.
Is it flexible for them, or we're gonna look at the dates? I mean, I could see somebody that would be, retired that wants the flexibility that here's the days I can give you rather than are you available? Because then what happens if, I mean. I
We'll
suppose
start
that-
with what's needed for the kids. And then if we have to like trade out an afternoon for a morning or a day, if we can make that work, then we will. But we'll start with what will meet the needs, when we have literacy and math and when that MTSS time is available.
Anyone else?
Nope. Sounds good.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Thank you.
All right, Karen?
Brett,
Yes,
Tom,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
All right, letter E, staff retention payments.
Motion to approve the $1,000 retention payment to the 525 district employees identified as non-classroom teachers that are employed by the district in their capacity as of October 31st, 2021, and remain employed through the end of the school year.
Second.
Third.
Good.
Robert's rules are on there.
Okay, sorry.
All right, any discussion on this topic?
I like it. I think it's a great move, so. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just always devil's advocate.
No, go
so.
for it. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just, of course, I don't know. This one's tough. So, because these are those same funds that we're using for like learning recovery, right? Like with our hiring extra teachers, all that kind of stuff. So when I look at us just spending $300,000 on our previous motion, and then look at this going $565,000, I'm thinking, okay, does $1,000 retention payment actually impact who stays? You know what I mean? As far as like, is it gonna make an employee stay that maybe would have left that we need, versus how is that going to correlate to impacting our students directly? I mean, so I'm looking at the money going, okay, this money is for learning deficiencies, all that kind of stuff. What if we'd have taken $600,000 and put in the other one and then $300,000? You know what I mean? As far as that's kind of where I'm at. I don't want to say, hey, our staff doesn't need it, because I think they do need it, especially with what's going on right now. If we have increase in health premiums, if we have inflation like crazy, if we're driving around with $6 a gallon gas, I mean, our raises alone are going to cover it. And actually this wouldn't cover it either. And that's why, I don't know. The bonus part of it is not a bad thing, but I don't know. When we have funds we have so much and we're dipping into them, we dipped into them with our raises as far as our general fund. So I'm looking at programs dollars. I'm just looking at teachers. I don't know. It just, as far as what our kids are getting best bang for the buck, I really question it. And I question if it would actually make an impact with our employees. It's a nice thank you, but as far as if it's actually benefiting our kids through being able to retain employees and stuff. I don't know that $1,000 would do it, but then you put all that money together and that's a large chunk of change that we can provide resources with. So that was my struggle.
Either way, it's not coming out of general fund. Same as the original $1,000. It's just too bad that the State House didn't think about this before they just made the rash decision to give out $1,000 to everybody. But I mean, I think if this was general fund money, I think you'd obviously have a different conversation, but I mean, this is money that on the side of general fund, and we still have, where's that number at?
It doesn't show in there. Well, the teacher money was separate.
What's
So
what I'm
that came from
saying
the
is that
state. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I
is
mean,
step money that we have.
this is
currently.
still federal money that's coming.
Yeah, it's one time.
So this money's coming from the COVID related funding, right? So if we didn't
one
have
time.
COVID, then we wouldn't have this funding.
Yeah, it's one time
So-
money.
And so what I've seen is that some school districts aren't spending the money at all and it's going away. So I would rather spend the money by giving it to staff members who have worked through that time period. And it's actually, and I don't know, I could be wrong and hopefully you guys can educate me, but May 12th isn't the end of the contract year, is it? May 12th, 2022? Okay, so this date goes from October 31st, 2021 to May 12th, 2022. So it's actually, it doesn't count in all of the people who are retiring and all that, or resigning, or people who resigned in the middle, in April. It's not gonna get to those folks. It's only gonna get to people who stayed through last week.
Miss
The
Miss
contract's
McIntosh,
not up until
the May 12th date was as for employees as of that date.
Right,
What we're saying is that if they go through the end of the school year still,
okay, so
Then
they
they would
have to be, they still have to be employed on May the 12th, right?
the current listing as of May 12th included 525 employees. Now,
Okay.
if Dr. Latham, who is whatever classified staff that hasn't got the $1,000 quit before the end of the school year, she would not get that $1,000.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I wasn't expressing that correctly, but that was my understanding. So it's not gonna go to people who just quit. It's gonna go to people who stayed and
Yeah, these
intend to
people don't
stay.
want that.
So, yeah, I want to affect those guys.
And a
Right.
lot of people that resigned a few months ago, it was effective at the end of the school year. They weren't quitting that day, they were.
They're
A lot
through
of
the
the
end
early
of the
retirement,
contract.
yeah, there's a lot of them are finishing their contract before they.
There's only certain employees that have contracts.
Yeah.
So
So this staff here, that doesn't include those employees, does it? The ones that we're talking about giving the $1,000 to, not the ones that the legislature's giving the money to, right? Like the legislature
Correct,
money's for the
correct.
teachers. This money
correct.
is
Those
for
are only
staff.
classroom teachers.
Right.
Yes.
I'm just thinking how impressed it would have been if we could triple the motion we just had. So if we could have added 3 teachers to every building instead of 1 for the 90 days, you know what I mean? That's kind of the impact
Or-
I'm
or
looking at
make it
going,
more than
wow,
a-
yeah.
more than
would that-
90 days.
Yeah. Right. What kind of impact would that have made? Instead of 1 teacher per elementary, it would have been 3. I mean, because it's almost a.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the impact that money would have made.
Again, with the ESSER funding or the COVID funding, this goes through, we can spend it through September 2024. So as you talk about
Mhm.
hiring a teacher, note that if there was something that we were going to do with other ESSER funds, that would have to be something that would be funded after 2024 with different dollars.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So
I'm
it's
talking about
one-time
temporary positions that we
funding.
just passed. Yeah. Like the 90-day ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was all temporary.
Correct.
That's why I said how impressive would that have been if that had been tripled? You know what I mean? Right. If we'd have had like 3 at every building plus, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just that having those resources.
Right.
So it's, I don't know. That's kind of where my mind was at.
I get,
Go ahead.
I get what you're saying there, Tom, but I think it's important for us. I always keep in mind the fact that we have such a high rating of employee satisfaction, number one. And how, this is part of that. We want to make sure that even though $1,000 isn't even cut it for the amount that of extra work, we all know that that's just, a token amount. But I think if we weren't to do it, it would be a huge mistake and a signal, whether intended or not, that we didn't value those employees as much. And I think I get the feeling they've been asking for it, they've been counting on it. And if we didn't do it, I think it would have a bigger impact than what I think you're, you know, than what you're thinking it will. I think it would have a negative impact in morale. So I don't know. I think, I agree, like, it would be great to have more funding toward the extra supports. But I do know that this doesn't deplete. I'm assuming this doesn't deplete our bucket of ESSER funds. We have them through 2024. And we continue to use them in very intentional and smart ways. There have been several other school districts who months ago made this decision. We've been fairly conservative because we were waiting to see if the State House would correct it and make it apply to all teachers and show all teachers that they were valued equally. And I think it's our way, it's a way of us communicating that we believe that there's equal value to everyone, and that to me goes a really long way. So.
Rick, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna, this is Natalie's last meeting and she's finished as a senior, she told me a little bit ago. Just in general, Natalie, did you live through the pandemic as far as loss of school? A lot of you through MTSS, we're hoping that a lot of kids get caught up. I'm not asking about you specifically, just.
Well, for me, I utilized MTSS a lot my junior year, mostly because it was in the middle of the day. So like we had open campus. So instead of going home for lunch, I would just do lunch there and then go to class and do work. This year I haven't used it as much because I have to come in earlier, which like I've done it, but I haven't utilized it as much. But a lot of people are.
So you think it's helped a lot of kids?
Yeah. And it's a lot of the times, like for me, I have a full schedule, like all 8 periods. So if I need to like make up a test I missed or like retake, I have that option.
Sure.
Whereas like in years past, I'd have to stay after school, which I couldn't really do because I had practice. So it makes it a lot easier to like.
So MTSS is great 10 years from now, not just getting recovering from the pandemic. It's just in general. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm asking you.
Yeah, it will help.
I guess I didn't put words. Thank you, Natalie.
All right. Yeah, I guess my 2 cents, and I hear what Tom is saying. There's a trade-off with every dollar that we spend and where we want to put it. And we'd always love to pay people more and hire more teachers and do all of the things. And we're constrained. I think when I look at this, the thing that jumps out to me, and Brett kind of pointed it out, is, we've got 452 employees that were covered under the governor's plan, but that left out over half of our employees, who a lot of them had equal contributions in their own respective ways through the pandemic. And if we had to pay for this out of general funds, then I don't think that's really even an option. But the fact that we have this ESSER funding that we can use to that, I think to Bridget's point, I think not doing it is probably a bigger negative. And I think they're deserving of it. And $1,000 means different things to different people. Sometimes $1,000 isn't a big deal, and sometimes it pays for gas and food for the month. And I don't know everybody's individual situations, but I know that could certainly help out. And it's definitely a signal that says we care about our entire staff and we have the money. Let's spend it. They're the ones that are helping to take care of our students. And we talked about the list of people that are kind of leaving the profession, so to speak.
A large list, very large list.
And I think that we want to keep as many of our great employees as we can. So it's a trade-off for sure. And it'd be great to have 3X on the learning recovery as well. But I think this feels like it's worthwhile, and it's been thought through. And with the parameters we have here, we're making sure that people that are staying through that period of time, and they've been with us, they've stuck with us and with our kids. And it's one way to show our appreciation.
I have something to say.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went to one department's end of year celebration and retirement party yesterday. And every single person there had two questions. And one of those questions, and the very first question was, what about the staff bonuses? So they very much are hopeful that this is passed, and they're hoping that it comes their way. So that's one of the top two questions they all had yesterday. So I think that speaks volumes.
Just to clarify, it's probably not that big of a deal, but when we sit here and say a long list, just so the public, there's 13 people resigning. to
Just
go
in
other
this
thing.
meeting.
So it's not a panic. Out of 900 and some employees, I don't think we need to panic. So.
I just meant this meeting. And we've seen
Well, I get-
resignations in every meeting, but
Yeah,
yes, toward the end of the year
Yeah.
now, there's 15. So I'm not trying to say.
no, I know.
panic,
I'm
but
just, it's kind of in humor, but yet also trying
It's
to
a
make sure
trickle.
everybody understands that it's not, we're not like seeing. And
Makes
I guess that
sense.
kind of goes to, is it a retention? Is that $1,000 going to keep those people here? Probably not, because they have other aspirations or other things to go to. So I think the $1,000 is definitely worth, for those other, the people that do decide to stay, whether that keeps them here or not, it's still worthy of saying thank you. So.
I agree with that.
Okay.
So,
Any final thoughts? All right, Karen?
Tom,
yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
yes,
Bridget,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Right, on to the 28E agreement, roadways, city of Altoona.
motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Pecan?
Yes, thank you. This has been a agreement that we've taken quite a bit of time to talk with the city about, and we have finally come to terms with them. Mr. Kurth has pulled up the map that we have out there in regards to the agreement, and this is a eye view of what the middle school project is and the roadways that need to surround that. So the roadways are separate from the projects of which you've approved already from a capital project standpoint. The roadways that you see there that are in purple, blue, and yellow, I'll explain that in a minute. The middle school project is bordered on the east by 80th Street and on the south by 8th Street, and will be on the east on what will be known as Falcon Drive, a street that is not there yet, but will be there. Through discussions with the city, the top portion, the pink portion there is what we're calling Section A. That section was we didn't need it for the school per se, because we can still get students to the school through the yellow and the blue section. So the top portion, the city has agreed to share 50% of those costs with us. Will also get us a secondary exit out of the middle school area building for better traffic flow. The blue section is all school district. That's 100% funded by the school district, because that is what we need from the school district standpoint and getting students in and out. And then the yellow area is the roundabout. So with our traffic study, the traffic study told us that we needed a stop sign at that intersection with 8th Street and Falcon Drive, and that's all we needed. In discussions with the city, they talked about having a roundabout as the proposed city plans are to move eastward towards Terrace Hills Golf Course with other developments happening there. So we agreed to put in a roundabout. We thought a single lane roundabout was good for the district as far as getting kids in and out, and also a little bit more safer, as the studies show, rather than just a stop sign there. So in working those agreements and looking at costs, the city has also agreed to 50% cost share of that roundabout. So with those things in mind, again, this has been a long thing coming with the city, and we're glad to have an agreement with them as we move forward with this project. This is something we'd look to bid out probably this winter and to start next spring. Mr. Powell?
A couple of things. Number one, the black broken line, it says in the 28E agreement, it says trail, but is that a sidewalk?
That will be a future sidewalk, correct?
Future sidewalk, okay. The second thing is, I'm not a fan of roundabouts like I've shared before. I'm shocked when I saw this a few days ago that I assumed, which I shouldn't do, that it was going to be on 8th Street and 80th, but now I see it's coming out of Falcon Ridge neighborhood. I'm really concerned, and I hope we all are, that how those Falcon Ridge students that need to walk are gonna get across that street. And I'm also concerned about, sorry, I know you're gonna address it and clear things up. Thank you, Dirk, but are they coming off a stop sign at 80th and 8th to a roundabout, and then they leave the roundabout going east? They're gonna run into a stop sign in a block? Okay, now,
A few things,
Yeah.
and some are for me to talk about, and some I'll kind of say
Yeah.
we're waiting to see exactly.
Okay.
But a couple things, the 80th and 8th right now is a four-way stop
Right.
sign. It'll actually be a four-way signaled intersection next. And then
traffic light?
Yep.
Okay.
And then after that, the city's long-term plan is for another roundabout to be there as well. But I don't know what their timeline is with that, so I can't really speak beyond that. As far as the Falcon Drive, we've talked a little bit, what the city has plans for 2 underpasses from that neighborhood to the south, crossing 8th Street, one near the 80th intersection and one near the shown yellow area there. And then also access into the neighborhoods to get there a little bit more easily. So, but again, that's the city's project. I know that their plan is to align that with this work as we go through the process and open this building in the fall of 24. But I can't say, since it's not our project to.
Yeah.
to say
Thank you.
100%.
I'm just concerned about those kids getting across.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
safety is clearly paramount. And I would say this, that if those things weren't done by the time we're ready to open that building, then certainly we've got to make some changes as far as how we would get students there so that we keep safety there, because it's a busy road that's only going to get busier as advancement continues to the east from the city.
Thank you.
When I know we've had in the past, when we've done the school boundary things, that we've tried to keep kids from crossing major intersections. So 2 thoughts, because that was one of the things I had on there is now it's probably cheaper to put a tunnel or something underneath there while we're doing it. And then what was the conversation of why this isn't a 4-lane? Because in future, it's going to end up costing, I don't know if they'll come back and, I mean, obviously, when you get school in session, then you have to go back there and make it a 4-lane. Once they do that, why wouldn't they do that now?
Are you referring to the roundabout heading east?
East and west roundabout.
So let me go back to the roadways itself that we're talking about here. So that's something that the school district would administer. So I'll bring to you the projects and the whole public hearing, that sort of thing, as we talk about specs, et cetera. Now, what the city is doing, I think there is some plan, but again, as far as timeline, I'm not sure where that is at with the 4-lane piece of it.
But we're paying half of that, right?
The roundabout, yes.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is, why would we go in and pay half of something that isn't even going to be adequate, or that's only going to be short-lived, because they've got to extend that 4-lane all the way through there.
We know that they are doing to the west of the roundabout right now. Our engineers are actually talking to the city's engineers and making sure those things line up as far as roadways, future ways, things of that nature. Again, the planned growth going east, I believe, is something of a more than a single lane or a 2-lane, but I can't speak to what the city's plan as far as timing for that project is.
Well, that's what
But
I'm saying. I mean, when you're talking taxpayer dollar on top of taxpayer dollar. I mean, it's probably doesn't make a difference where it comes from, but I mean, when you're going into a project, it's like, why wouldn't we just do it now? Kind of same thing with the
I think
underpass or something.
The traffic study that was done didn't show the need for that divided 4-lane type thing till out past 2035, maybe even 2050, something like that. But again, that's a city thing that I can't.
No, and I know, and that's just things that we probably need to address before this gets approved, because one, the traffic study is not going to show a lot of traffic there because there's not a school there right now. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I get that's a city issue, but obviously it's got to be built, but it doesn't make sense for us to put even a dollar into it if it's not gonna be done the way it needs to be done for the future, because it's just gonna end up causing problems. And I like the roundabout better than a thing, but I think it's a waste of taxpayer dollars to not do it right the first time.
So the traffic study, I can share with you because we have the traffic study. So they take into account many, many factors, including potential growth in the future. And I don't remember all the components of that traffic study, but it does go out quite a few years, as Dr. Lupnick mentioned. But there is, it's not just, for lack of a better, it's not just, we think it's going to be this. They build in factors based on experience, based on other things like what's happened in the metro area, that kind of expansion with residentials, all those pieces and
No,
thoughts.
I get that, and it's not our issue, and I'm not sitting here trying to make it like it's our issue, but doesn't it seem funny that they're putting 4 lanes up to that, and then they're going, we're gonna build a roundabout that's only 1 lane? That's what,
It's.
Oh,
It's a
no.
multi-lane roundabout.
It's
Two lanes.
multi-lane.
It's a multi-lane roundabout. I'm sorry, I didn't understand your
Disregard.
question.
okay,
Yes, it's a multi-lane roundabout.
okay,
So we are paying.
never
the-
mind,
Yeah.
forget, scratch everything that I said prior to
Gotcha. I
that.
apologize. I didn't
So-
understand what you were saying.
Okay, well, I thought I said single lane, and that's what, but never mind, forget it.
I thought you were talking about 8th Street
Yes.
beyond.
That's what I thought.
No, yeah, what happens on the east side, I just want to make sure that roundabout is, we're going into a 4 lane and coming out 2 lane. I don't, what happens east, yeah, but, okay,
It's a multi-lane roundabout.
So
but, the north-south is gonna only be 2 lane.
Correct.
There won't be parking on that side either, will there?
I want to say, I can get back to you, but I think we had bump out parking initially, but I think it was taken away during city discussion. I think it was something that they did not, they intended not to do anymore. So no parking on that Falcon
Okay.
Drive.
Because I noticed we're gonna be able to park into the Samwise Youth Complex if we needed to for whatever event, or and vice versa. I'm sure they'll use our parking lot. So, okay. All right, so anything before 4 lane, scratch.
Gotcha.
All right.
I was just gonna say, it sounds like it's being built to accommodate that an eventual transition to.
Correct.
Okay.
So question about like the agreement kind of in general, it seems like we're sharing costs on some things we're paying for. We're paying all of the invoices up front, right?
Yeah,
Pretty
again,
much for everything.
yes, again, this is a project, the roadways will be a project that we administer, just like it is our capital project. So what we'll do is, based on the cost sharing agreement, we have installment payments planned out with the city for them to reimburse us for their share.
Okay. And that goes out over a number of years,
5 years.
5 years. Are we concerned at all about like the cash flow of that, or are we in a good position to be able to pay that out and then get reimbursed later?
Yeah, we're fine from a fiscal standpoint for these roadways as estimated currently by our engineers.
Okay. And the way that it's written, if the cost goes up, we're still, for the parts we're
50%.
sharing, we're still 50-50, other
Correct.
than, is it the water main that it's like a fixed dollar amount?
Yeah, so, and that is a dollar amount in there, and that's based on what our engineers have got as far as costs, and Mr. Crab is alluding to an increase in the valve size of the water main to make it a little bit more feasible for expansion to happen with the city, with other developments going forward. So it's easier to do it now and less expensive for them without adding costs for the district.
And who will maintain the roadway? Like fix potholes and clear snow and stuff? Is that on us, or is it the city, or is there a sharing of that too? How does that work?
It's a city.
It's a public street.
Okay. Okay, so we're paying more upfront in the construction of it, but then we're not the ones maintaining it.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask Dan a question? Dan, I'm the only one that seems to be, you don't have to get up. I'm the only one that has a trouble with it. Maybe because I'm the oldest with these roundabout things. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of buses going in and out of the 6-7 building. Can the buses make those circles like cars can? I mean,
That one
both
right,
coming and going. I mean,
that one right there is large enough
Dan,
that yes, it will be. Those like the size of one in Brook Run. So
It's the
we're
size
gonna
of-
be able to get around that one fairly easy.
I might be
You
able to-
get smaller than that, and then that's where we get trouble getting around.
I might be able to better answer that question, Mr. Powell.
Okay.
The bus entrance is actually coming off 80th Street and not towards that roundabout.
So
off
the
8th.
buses won't be using the one that we're seeing. Is that what you're saying?
Not the roundabout we're talking about, correct?
Okay.
The bus entrance on the east side of the property, as you see it kind of right
On
in the.
80th.
So they'll
bottom
both
third.
come and leave
Correct.
without using the roundabout.
That's correct.
Okay, I was just trying to visualize in my tiny mind how a bus would go.
Well, in general,
Yeah.
buses will go around.
Yeah, we'll still have buses going around it and quite a
Right.
few of them because we got elementary.
I'm just
school.
thinking that before and after school, when you got coming and going, that you could have one going and one coming. I mean, it's just, they're both in
Meet
the,
the middle.
they're both in the circle at the same time. Sorry, it's just, I gotta live with it. Thanks.
They are safer.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? No. I feel like Brad has another smart comment.
No,
here.
no, I'm, after that 4-lane, 2-lane, debacle,
Can we edit that out of the screen?
oh no, leave it in there for entertainment. Leave it in there for entertainment.
All right,
Karen
Karen.
can read my mind.
Chad. Chad,
Oh, yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
All right, health curriculum updates.
Wait,
No.
board
No.
meeting schedule.
Oh, please. All right.
I'll
Board
just need
meeting
one hour.
schedule, FY 23 board meeting schedule.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions, comments, concerns about the schedule?
Very exciting.
Yeah,
A whole nother year.
put them on your calendar.
They're on.
All right, Karen?
Lori,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes. All right, now, letter H, health curriculum update.
Motion to approve the curriculum that has been reviewed by the staff and selected.
Second.
Okay. Questions, comments, thoughts? Whitney?
So I spent, I don't know, like 6 hours reading 600 pages of that book on the teacher's edition, and I am just very impressed with the job that they did and some of the topics, the way that they're being handled and the professional manner, and they even have little side sections explaining what not to say in certain situations. Like there was one question about school violence. And the caveat was, if you're in a gang area, please don't ask your students about specific gangs, which isn't us, but it's neat that they even thought about that and put that in there. They talk about, when they talk about human sexuality, they talk about using the proper terminology so that students understand that it's not some street term, it's an actual function of the body. So I was very impressed with it, and it's a huge jump in the way that health is being taught from the way that it has been taught in the past. So maybe we can look at it more than every 10 years, but I like it. I do have a few concerns, and I addressed most of those with you already, Joellen, but just to put them on record, I spoke to you about parents waiving their kids from being in some of those classes. And the response that I got was to call them. And I think that that's a great way to do it. I also looked in the policy manual and found in section 603, parent, I don't know, but it's in there. There's actually a form. And I don't know, I know that the book discussed a letter being sent to the parents before the beginning of health class. And I remember the letter that I saw, and I didn't see an attachment. So I'm wondering if that attachment is going to be in the letter.
when we look at the board policy for health in particular,
Mhm.
there's an option for a unit opt-out or course opt-out.
Right.
So the form that you refer to in board policy is for a unit opt-out, and that is the human sexuality unit.
Mhm.
So the letter that would go out to parents is from the curriculum materials prior to the teaching of that unit, so they knew that it was coming up,
Right.
some of the topics that would be covered. So that attachment to the letter, are you asking, is that board?
I'm just wondering if that is referenced in the letter or if that's part of the letter, because I didn't see the letter and I didn't
Sure.
see it in any of the paperwork, so.
And I
just wanna make sure
will
it's there.
click on the link. Typically, what we've done in the past with curriculum materials is they have what I would call a form letter.
Mhm.
And we meet together as a team and we personalize it for
Right.
what is going on at Southeast Polk, and then that is sent out. But they kind of give us a frame to start with, so we're
Mhm.
not starting from scratch. So
Right.
those are typically modified to be specific to Southeast Polk.
And another question that I had, and it's in section 12, so it doesn't have anything to do with the curriculum. So I can wait for that question, or I can-
Section 12.
it's in the code.
Oh, in chapter 12?
Yes. sorry,
Okay.
Yes. So there's 4 sections where it talks about, oh my gosh, my eyesight, human growth and development, and then social health, emotional and social health, human sexuality and interpersonal relationships. And I'm wondering if we can send out a letter or a notice before each one of those sections is taught, because human sexuality, there is a letter being sent out, but those other 3 seem to be current hot topics.
Mhm.
And I didn't know if you alerted the parents like, hey, we're gonna talk about this next week. Let me know if you have any issues, because it's kind of like an opt-out instead of an opt-in.
At the beginning of the semester, the teachers send out their syllabus, so each week you know what is being taught. And then if the parents so choose, they can be an observer in Canvas, so they can monitor as it comes forward. I think sending it out every week would be a challenge on the teacher's time, but I do know at the high school level, parents are able to see the entire syllabus at the beginning of the year. I think it would be fair that if we had a significant adjustment to that information would go out to families.
Okay. And then also, when there's a special speaker coming in or a special video or something being shown, that's in Canvas as well,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
For the parents to see if they choose to.
Yes.
Okay. I think it'd be really helpful for parents, and I don't think this is anything that we as a district need to do, but helpful for them to understand how to navigate Canvas
Mhm.
and how to look up what their kid's doing that way, instead of trying to like swim through all of the content in Canvas.
I do know that at conference time, both the junior high, I'm not sure Spring Creek may have done it as well, set up sessions for parents.
Right.
So you can help them navigate Canvas and get
Yeah,
in
and it
and
was
do
really
those types of
disappointing because there
things.
was almost nobody in it.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
and not your fault, you know,
Mhm.
I remember
Sure.
whenever I went, there weren't a whole lot of other parents
Yeah.
in there. And I don't know if it's because Canvas is a beast and people are like, I don't even want to like go there or what. And it's not really all that much of a beast once you get into it.
No, and I think too, if you would say, Natalie, show me how to get to your Canvas page, and the kids are really good at it. So, and what I do as a parent is bookmark it because then I could never remember how to get back.
Yeah,
So,
right.
but we can continue to provide some learning sessions so that parents know how to navigate that and find information that they might be wondering about.
I just think transparency, it can only help us so that we don't have a lot of upset parents or questions and hard feelings. It's just like, hey, this is what we're talking about. If you want your kid in it, cool. If not, okay. So, and I don't know if that's going to hinder them from being able to graduate either, or if there's workarounds for that too, since it's a requirement for.
We're able to work with families and not have that hinder any kind of graduation requirement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Karen?
Bridget,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chad,
All right, on to the exciting topic of print management services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Excuse me. Does anyone have questions or is there anything to present on this?
So these devices, there is like a warranty on them, right? Because I can just see overuse and them needing to be replaced and serviced and all of that.
What was your question? I'm sorry.
Okay, so the last two places that I worked, when there was an issue, the company would come in and fix the printer and with all of the use that we're gonna put these machines through, I want to make sure that that's part of the agreement.
Yes,
Okay.
we pay a per click charge for each copy made, each print job sent, and that covers maintenance and support.
Okay.
And these machines are enterprise level, so to speak.
Right.
So they're sturdy. And they are spec'd out to meet more than what we expect from them.
Okay.
Because a lot of our print volume has decreased as a result of improvements made to the print shop. So we have a lot of teachers that have taken advantage of the print shop service.
Okay. Thank you.
Was this updated recently to say Access Systems 1?
Yes.
Okay, because I looked at it before and it's just that Access Systems, there were two different bids in there. I was going to ask which one it was. So what's the difference between the two?
They propose different manufacturers. So Access Systems 1 is Toshiba and number 2 was Sharp.
Okay.
And Toshiba just happens to have, they have the state of Regents contract. So that's why the pricing is so low, very competitive.
So we pay a monthly fee. Is that a lease? then?
At least, yeah.
So we're leasing it, they're maintaining it. And the per click means each piece of paper that goes through.
Yeah, each time a teacher sends a copy job, a print job, or makes a copy, we get charged a certain amount of money for that. And then that covers the support and maintenance of that equipment. And the toner and the staples.
Everything but paper. Is
Yeah,
that right?
everything but paper.
Okay, so we know what our costs are up front.
Yeah.
And that comes out to like over 5 years, it's like a couple 100,000. Is that roughly?
You know, Kevin, a couple 100,000 for 5 years.
For what, I'm sorry?
Print services.
I'd have to look. I don't.
Okay. I think it does. I think I did the math earlier, so. All right, I don't have any other questions. Do you? Anyone else? No.
Is it 4 lane or 2 lane?
Great comedic timing.
Yeah.
All right, Karen?
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Audit services contract.
Motion to approve the 2-year agreement for audit services with Bone Second from at LLP.
Second.
Mr. Becom?
Just real quick, we sent out 6 RFPs. I don't know if to feel bad or feel good. We got the one RFP back and it's the one CPA firm we've been using over the past several years. So very happy with them. Obviously, the board expressed their happiness with them in the previous board meeting. So we are happy with this agreement.
Any idea why there weren't more?
I sent them out in the mail, so I don't know why they didn't respond, but they were sent out, yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
It's not unusual.
Do the other auditing services know who they're competing against?
I don't list out who I sent RFPs to, but they would know just through their peers. Yes.
Okay. Maybe that's why.
Karen?
Whitney,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
All right, on to the discussion items. The first is superintendent report.
Thanks. Good evening. several things of good news to share. I'll just kind of get rolling here. Last week, the annual Dollars for Scholars event was held. 287 scholarships awarded, almost $230,000 awarded, including to our very own Natalie, who was on that stage more than once. A huge thank you to everybody who helped in supporting our students as they move on to that next step. Also last week, the 34th annual Iowa Technology Expo was held here at Southeast Polk. A big turnout. You know, it was canceled 2 years ago. Last year, a lot of schools couldn't come or didn't come, but it was very impressive. Lots of impressive work. We also had a lot of sponsors this year, which is a really kind of encouraging to see. Meta, Turner Construction, GMC Transportation, East Polk Rotary, Midwest 3D Solutions, Acme Tools, Craig Tools, Hy-Vee, Snap-on, Golf Cars of Iowa, Concrete Technologies. I want to make sure we say those names because they all donated money to make sure that this continued and happened in our gym. And so it was a great activity. And we had several students that walked away with some pretty fancy tools and some cash in their pocket too for their next step. You know, it's been a little while, but since our last meeting, we have had our annual tradition of Senior Skip Day. It was a little rainy, but our seniors continued that tradition of giving back to the community. It's always a fun day and a real positive back and forth there. I do want to share some breaking news. We had several buildings recognized for their efforts in pre-engineering and STEM education. The junior high, Mitchellville, Clay, 4 Mile, and Centennial were all recognized as Project Lead the Way Distinguished Schools. That's a big deal, but it's even bigger when I tell you this part. There were 12 total buildings in Iowa recognized, and 5 of them were ours. And so that's you know, we've had our Altoona and junior high board visits since my last report here. So we did hit all 11 buildings this year. Finished with 2 very strong visits and look forward to moving and doing this again next year. Academic award ceremonies at the high school over the last week. Great way to either start or end the day, depending on which way it was, recognizing students for what we're all about, their academic efforts. And again, I'll as I told her before the meeting, embarrass Natalie because she was recognized multiple times at those as well. So we're proud of her. And with that, the final kind of culminating ceremony is Sunday, graduation ceremony at the Knapp Center, 1:30 on the Drake campus. And I know Karen sent you some details today. And thanks, Rick, for making sure we didn't show up on the wrong day.
You're welcome.
I wanted to add Dollars for Scholars. We handed out those 287 scholarships in 55 minutes. So we had it under an hour this year and we're very proud of that.
Way to go, Margie.
Yeah, no kidding. Truthfully, she moved mountains. And so did Jeannie. Thank you.
Still need a couple jokes in there though from Roger. Yeah, be working on that next year.
All right, monthly financials, Mr. Bacon.
Super quick. You have the monthly financials through the month of April in your board packet. Nothing real remarkable happening since March. General fund revenues are up 5%, expenditures up 6.2%. You know, utility costs are up about 11.3% as was indicated in the report. Those continue to climb, depending on usage, obviously. But I just want to again highlight the insurance reimbursement program that we have. That is going well for us. Just remind you, we are on a 3-year flat rate premium for that insurance. So after these 3 years, if we continue to do well in our eyes, as in putting reimbursements through, we'll probably see a pretty good increase then after that 3rd year. As far as all funds or multi-funds, the revenues are up 7.2%, expenditures are up 22.3%, and food costs being one of the bigger items in there, and then facilities construction activities going on. That has been an enjoyable part of the position lately. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Right, FY23 handbooks. Jeannie's going to come up and talk to us here. Thank you.
Hello all.
Hello.
Hi.
Jane.
I am Jeannie Christensen. Just because maybe people haven't seen me in here before. I'm usually sitting in the other room, making sure that the Zoom and the live stream is working. So I'm here tonight to talk with you because I have compiled the suggested changes for the 22-23 student handbooks from the principals and the directors for your preview. And so you should have a copy of that in your packet. Just real quick to kind of walk through. I know it can be a little bit confusing. So what I tried to do is on one side of the page is going to be what is currently in the handbook. On the other side of the page is what is being proposed. If something is in green, then that means that it is something new that hasn't been in the handbook before. If it's red and has a strike through, it means that they want to take it out. And if it's blue, then it is a change. And a lot of times that might just be a word is changing, the name of something is changing. Also then on the front page is changes that go to all of the handbooks. Then within the document, you'll see that then there are changes that are specifically just for the elementary handbook, the Spring Creek handbook, junior high and high school. So if you have questions about how the document is set up, I'd be happy to answer those. If you have questions about the actual content of what they want changes, then I would suggest that you contact the principal directly so that they can explain their reasoning behind, or to Dr. Halupnik.
This will be back in the June meeting for us
Yes.
to discuss and. vote
So
on.
then on the June 16th meeting, you'll have more time to discuss and then vote. And then once it has been approved, then I'll take those changes, update all of the handbooks, and then post them out to the website. Any questions for
Thanks for your
me?
work.
Yep,
Oh,
thank
of
you.
course. Thank you. My
So
pleasure. Oh, yes.
this says suggested by principals and directors. This might be a stupid question, but who are the directors?
So like the directors would be
Oh, okay.
Dan,
The
in
back
here,
row.
this one is
Nutrition.
specifically like, and
Gary
then there's
Haynes.
also Amy Ahern because there's changes in the menu prices.
Okay,
Amy Chebahar because there are changes in the health.
okay. So the administrative chart, I was just thinking, it's like, is there a directors, a group that I don't know about? Got it, thank you. Yeah. And I'm very impressed with all of the detail of the changes and everything. It's cool. Good job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and if you want to funnel questions through me or through Dr. Lutnick too, to get to the right people, that's totally fine too.
Okay.
And then we'll have an opportunity at the next meeting to ask any additional final questions before we vote.
Will the directors and principals be here to answer those questions?
We can have them, yeah.
But aren't you gonna first direct them, if you have a question ask the questions ahead of time? I mean, otherwise we can go on for hours and hours in discussion.
I think it would still be nice to have the directors there in case they want to give a more detailed answer on the spot as opposed to filter through an email.
All the directors.
Bring us up with it.
That's somewhere, right?
I'll be in California.
You're gonna
We
see
can
that
play
in
by ear and see
California?
what.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, if there's a reason to have them here, I mean, I shouldn't say, yeah, don't bring them all here, but if there's particular issues that we need.
Right. If questions
questions
emerge
or-
that make sense where.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, letter D, construction updates. Mr. Good.
Good evening, Superintendent Polk. Feel good back to talk a little bit about construction. I'm going to update you on 3 projects that are now underway. 3 very important projects, the Southeast Polk Community School District.
beginning with that academic building, the middle school building, the stadium. You'll see a lot more about that because that's much further along. And the softball field is work is just beginning. Beginning with the stadium, again, just as a reference, some of the things that you're going to see in the presentation, you're going to see the development of the tunnel area. You're going to see the north building and concourse area here. You'll see a little bit about the west stands and the east stands. Starting with the tunnel area. This, you can see the high school in the background here. Obviously, the street has been closed for some time now, and they're able to start the construction of this, this tunnel. This is just the base of it. I did indicate in here it's going to be a 12 by 9. I don't know if that's a 2-lane or a
4-lane.
4-lane, but
It's on the instruments.
Is it a one-way?
This is gonna go all summer, Brad. And you deserve it.
But anyway, yeah, that's 12 feet wide by 9 feet high. But this is just looking towards the stadium. The stadium's in the background here. You can kind of see the north building here, the east side here. But that's well underway and moving along really well. I think they put the wing walls in starting today, as a matter of fact. On the east side of the stadium, they're still working on piers to support the bleachers. You can kind of see that a little bit. This is what I'm calling a pier to support. This is just an underground utility here, but this is very sensitive to wet conditions, this kind of work, as you can imagine. But the west side is virtually done, the piers, and they're completing the east piers. And this was a picture from last week, so I know they're further along than this. Also on the east side, those piers that you saw were down below this retaining wall here. This is the upper area that they're going to start probably next week pouring this pad, which will support the visitor concession and restroom areas behind the stands. The bleachers that will be here.
They're supposed to come today. Do you know if they showed up?
What's that?
The bleachers were supposed to come today.
They're originally, and then it changed to tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay.
The nature of our business constantly changing, it seems like. Again, I wanted to give you some, this is a rendering that you've seen before of the north building. You're going to see under construction on the concourse level, which is up here, and the lower level here, which will support storage and locker rooms. You're going to see the supports for these canopies here and here, which would be the ticket areas, booster area, and restrooms through here. You'll see the beginnings of some of that work. This is that lower level. This is the picture that you saw in March. Since that time, they put in double T's and a slab for the concourse. But now that that is covered, drying is a little bit harder because it's always in the shade. But they're working through that, and actually, again, next week should be pouring the east side of this. At least that's the plan. On that concourse level, I indicated earlier about the canopies. This is the canopy on that the west end. You can see the railing that's going in here now. And actually, this is a view from the concourse out to the field that you see here. Again, another view looking east, railing up here, canopy supports, and support buildings back here. And actually, these walls have doubled since this picture was taken, but this is a restroom area here. Concourse would be out here. It's another, this is viewing west. So the concourse area, these are stairs down to the lower level. There'll be an elevator here, booster space here, and restrooms through here. This is, again, just a rendering to kind of get a sense for what I'm showing you there. Again, the railing, the field would be off to the left. As far as the progress since the last update, I think I was very optimistic back in March, and I think I mentioned to you that actually felt pretty good about where we were at that time. And then the rains came. So just as an indication, construction kind of is in the same boat that farmers are in as far as planting because of the significant rain events that we've had. Last week, we were averaging 30 workers on site, and yesterday there was 45 on site. Electrical and plumbing rough ends, so that continues for that north building. Underground utilities all around the site are underway, from sanitary to storm sewers. Martha Miller continues to be closed. And of course, the tunnel and utility installation for that tunnel are underway. The dirt backfill behind the east stands is complete, and the west could be complete today. I wasn't there today. Not seeing any supply chain issues currently. And since the last report, I mentioned to you in March that we were at 38%. We are now at 50% halfway through the project. Some upcoming work. As a reminder, Martha Miller will be closed until August 12th. If we can make that better, we will. But that has been the plan. Mentioned the backfilling. That would be completed this week. Bleacher footings on the east are finishing up. North building, there's a lot of activity on the north building. Pouring, and as I mentioned, the east side of the lower level. Continuation of the tunnel installation and the enclosure of that. And bleacher delivery May 20th, which is tomorrow. It's expected. And that east side building pad that I spoke to earlier. As far as the schedule goes, you may also remember back in March that I said weather in the next month, 6 weeks, was going to be a key to progress. There weren't a lot of dry days. That was a problem for us. And the current schedule shows that a November 2022 completion.
Mr. Good,
Yes, sir.
I'm not blaming you because I know it's the rain that caused the delay, but this is now the junior class 2023 won't be playing a game in the new stadium unless it's a playoff game.
22.
2023.
This fall is 22.
I know, but it's the junior class of 23.
Oh,
Will be graduating 23. So that's really disappointing, but I know it's the rain. I know the answer, but is there any hope the cross-country course can be usable come fall?
Yes.
Okay, so at least one sport will have the facility back.
Yes, we had discussions this week about the cross-country course, and there was some repairs that needed to be made, and those should have started today and should be completed tomorrow.
Okay.
So barring the unforeseen, should be ready to go. Will everything be perfect? No.
Yeah.
But should be ready to go.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else on the stadium? As far as the middle school building, really just getting started there. There's not a lot to show you other than dirt. And a lot of movement of dirt. And so again, it's going to be June before we start getting vertical there. So you'll see something more impressive later. As far as the progress, we have district and contractor meetings, and then we also attend subcontractor meetings. So it's twice a week. I know that I'm attending, but I've been really impressed with this group as far as their planning ahead. They've been very good, and the structure of their meetings is as good as I've seen. Some unexpected issues such as old farm tiles, and septic tank that's out there that I think you know a little bit about. Just an example of the organization, you know, the kitchen equipment is 9 months out. They're talking about that now to make sure that it's here in 9 months. So getting things cleared up so there won't be a delay there. So there are no supply chain issues that have been brought up in the meetings. You will see construction trailers installed. I think 1/2 of a double wide went in today. So those are coming. Various subcontractors will have their own trailer. Don't see any issues currently impacting the completion date. Mentioned building pad should start in June. And next week, they'll be doing underground utilities, mainly sanitary sewer. Anything on middle school? Softball, again, it's in the initial phase, and there's really only one thing that's going on right now, and that's the installation of storm sewer that is just west of the baseball diamond. This was just the initial start of that, but they have been there and working. Most of this work will definitely come later. We are really almost every meeting encourage them to, they have an opportunity to start early. We don't want anybody to bring back any excuses why it's not done when it needs to be done. There's an opportunity for them to start early, and they need to take advantage of that. And they've heard that significantly. Again, what we know today, the project is on schedule, and substantial completion is expected in November. So, any other questions?
Can they make some time up on this football stadium? What are they working? What's their?
Well, if we knew it wouldn't rain for a few months,
Yeah,
yes,
I
but
know.
that's, we do stress that if there's any way of doing it. But you know, we're not seeing it right now. We're just because of some unforeseen conditions, and then the wet conditions, it's really created a problem for us there as far as schedule. We continue to push, but based upon my experience and what I'm seeing, it's going to be a struggle.
Just 60 days just is kind of, it was just 2 months ago, we were 30 days, and now within 2 months, we're another 30 days. And I get the rain, but we knew the rain was going to be coming, and I'm afraid we might as well just figure something out for the softball field now, because I don't think we're going to be, you know, timely there either. But it is what it is. It is very disappointing that
Right now, I don't see any problem with the softball.
No,
field.
they're
I do
starting
see a
after the
problem with
season.
No, I know, but we didn't see a problem with this either, so.
Well, I did.
Well,
and
no, I
I
did
voiced
too,
it all
but
along,
I'm
that
not gonna get into
it
that.
was a pushing a schedule, but it's understandable, and I'm not surprised.
How many workers are supposed to be on site? You said 30 and 45, but what should be the normal?
Well, it varies. You know, there's sequencing there. So, you know, electrical will follow plumbing, You know, so one day there might be more electrical workers, another day there might be more masons there. So it all depends upon what's ready for that next group of workers to come in. So it varies.
Are they having problems with drainage in there still, or is that the water issue?
No, just wet conditions, not like we used to.
Are we gonna be able to get the turf in there before the first freeze? I mean, if we're talking November, it could be snowing and cold weather in October, and I mean, I don't want to be laying turf down in conditions and final grading, and it's just gonna cause, so can we just push it back to 2025 or whatever, 2024 or whatever the.
Now you're being negative.
Well, I'm being realistic now, because it's like, as much as Rick is excited to get cross country in there and stuff, I mean, I want to make sure it's done right, and I've said that from the start, is if they can put out a quality product, I mean, that's what we want, but you know, at some point we have to be realistic. Of, you know, and we know there's going to be weather, continuing weather. I mean, this is Iowa. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. So I just don't want to be getting into cold weather again, and now we're having more problems because we can't get this done or that done. And I'm more concerned about finished grade concrete. You know, that happens, and that time the turf, especially. I mean, you're talking that turf's expensive, and I'm sure they've done it before, but I don't want it, you know, to impact what playing season for the next year and have to come in and well, now we've got this issue with it, or so. I guess as long as we're getting stuff done and it's done good, I guess we'll worry about an end time. But
And we're all disappointed, Brad. I mean, it's just the way it is.
I mean, it is what it is. It just it's construction.
Doing what we can, that's under our control, and that's all we can do, but
I mean, I get the rain. The rain at my house hasn't been that bad, but my grass isn't growing, so it needs to come a little bit farther north.
Any other questions?
I'm done.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right, bus bids, Dan?
Guys, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Bus bids are sort of getting out of our realm of what we usually do. We usually come in December and ask to go out for bid. But we've, production delays, we're just on kitchen equipment there are on our vehicles. The buses we ordered last December were supposed to be here in June. They're now scheduled back till September. So they've been backlogged a few months already. I've been talking to my vendors. And they're right now, if we ordered today, we wouldn't see anything predicting right now until May of 2023. So we're already about 9 to 10 months out if we order now. So as what we've done in the past, and asked that we go out for bid, not saying we'd have to accept it, but we go out to bid and see what actual prices are right now, because I'm clueless on that right now because of everything going on and what the actual production date and delivery date would be of those vehicles. So we don't end up having to miss a whole year of delivery of school buses. Because really that's sort of what I'm afraid of. If we wait till December, we'll have a whole year where we don't get any buses.
Will you get an alternative bid for the air conditioning, please? Just in case.
I will do that.
Just in case, Kevin.
Oh, he's still there. He's
I gotta delay us by another month.
Yeah, no, we'll always do that.
Okay, you'll get the alternative bids.
Do you have an idea of how many buses we'll need?
Well, I've talked to Kevin about that. I know we've been on a replacement schedule, but right now without knowing what the time frame is and what the cost is, I'd even hate to say this is what I want, because you know, I've heard rumors of a bus going from $100,000 to $300,000. They're all rumors, But until we get that in our hands so we can even make an attempt, I really think we need to get out and we bid, see what a spec ed bus costs, a regular bus and a pusher cost. So we actually sort of know where we are before we come back to you guys with, hey, this is what we think we need and how we can get it. Because like I said, I'm clueless right now on what a price is because it's been just, I can't even predict fuel. So.
So from what I understand, you're looking ahead, but right now we're fine. We're good. with our fleet.
You guys have done a great job of making sure we keep as many buses that we need to keep our fleet at a manageable age, so we don't get so old that we're spending tons of money, which I feel like we're doing anyway because of everything. But we've done a good job of planning. I don't want to go backwards, but we need to look at it now so we don't end up. The last thing we want to do is we ended up a few years ago where we didn't buy buses for several years and we ended up having to buy 12 of them to make up for it. And we really don't want to go back into that realm. So this just keeps us on the schedule that would be manageable.
Okay. And they were cheaper when we bought 12.
Yes, when I first started, we were getting them for $70,000.
Yeah.
So they've doubled since I've started doing this. So
Nice to see you.
oh yeah, you guys do. I appreciate all you guys do, and I do know from my staff what you guys talked about earlier. It was great that you guys recognize that it was the whole staff, and not just a select group of people that really made us go. So I do know my staff has been very appreciative of that. So I want to say thank you to you guys while I have a chance.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Keep the wheels turning, Dan.
Right, that's the end of our discussion. Before we gavel out of this meeting, I just want to recognize Natalie Lewis again. This is your last meeting with us, right?
Yeah.
It's been an honor to have you here, and when you provided input, I think it's always been very valuable. And I know you'll have a lot of success in your future based on how well you've done. Hope you've appreciated Southeast Polk and what you've learned here, and we've appreciated having you in the room with us. So I don't know if anyone else wants to. Say
Thank
anything.
you. Good luck.
Thank you.
It's been nice having you at the table.
Yes,
So,
it has been
over
very
there,
nice.
that was good.
Yes.
Yes.
Come back anytime, Thursday nights, 5:30.
When you look for some entertainment.
We always say that and they never come back.
No.
Do you know who's your replacement next?
I think they're gonna find out tonight,
Tonight?
actually.
Okay. But I know it's getting
Well,
close.
I actually know, but I'm not allowed to tell until tonight.
Good job.
Yeah,
Don't say it on public record.
yeah. No one knows.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sunday too, if not before that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have practice tomorrow or rehearsal. whatever it's
Yes.
called. I've heard it's long, so.
No, it's
It's
not.
not, so I don't know.
All right.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All right.